this motor speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMary at the line.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Road America, so Roman Pawlowski fight it out against Ovid Triumvirate, with Roman coming out victorious. However, Olenek, Kalaj and Teal not being present at America's National Park of Speed, it threw Triumvirate right back into the mix of the fight for the crown. Even the F2 Championship saw a steer up, with Hugh Haycox forgetting to shift into gear at the drop of the green flag, and instead of fighting for the win, he had to park his car early. But today, we have different challenges, less turns and faster speeds. Although never having raced here in real life, the month of May even gets these guys excited as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series live from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway here on the iRacing Esports Network. The crew today to give you all the stats and storylines today will be, as always, Johan Vandenbelt, this time though joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director, the Doctor, Amjad Yamin, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. And a big goedendag to you, Johan. IMS, we really have to mention that he used to be a constant fixture in the schedule, but they stopped doing that a while back. So, Johan, why don't you go ahead and refresh our memory about Earth's second oldest still existing non-dirt racetrack?
Yeah, I agree, Stefan. It's kind of fitting, though, that this weekend of all weekends, Indianapolis returns to the Lotus 49 schedule. Now, a bit about this track. You already mentioned, Stefan, that this is one of the oldest still active tracks in the world, with a history stretching 110 years. The Brickyard was the first circuit ever in the world to be called a speedway, and has enough seats for the visitors to host the entire population of countries like Iceland and Greenland combined. Like you mentioned, Indy used to be a constant fixture, but hasn't seen that many old Lotus 49s race on it in recent memory. And that's a shame, because each time this car visits an oval, it produces amazing racing. With lap times of just under a minute, laps will go by fast, but disaster will always lurk in the smallest corner. So don't be surprised if you see one or two cautions today, which brings the field back together. Now, normally this is the point where I send a broadcast to a lap guide in the Lotus 49, but to speak in the words of a grizzled old Brit, how hard can it be, right? So instead, we're just gonna quickly look at the point and race details so we can jump into qualifying, and first off the Formula 1 Championship, because the gaps here have closed dramatically. Rob Olenek, he grabbed the lead from Mick Claridge and now sits clear by 3 points. Now, viewers will remember us mentioning that Mick unfortunately won't be able to race anymore with us this season, but it doesn't mean that the title battle is over, because Gary Thiel, look at him, he is only 9 points behind the leader in P3. Behind the podium, Ove Trangrade used the absence of his rivals in Road America to great effect and closed the gap down by 45 points. Now, this is important as Ove in the past has shown to be very strong on ovals and will be one of the drivers to watch out for today. Matt Wright behind him closes out the top 5, but is probably looking more at the people who are breathing down his neck, mainly Marco Kika and Roman Pawlowski. So there's a lot of excitement in the Formula 1 Championship. And Stefan, how does the Formula 2 look?
Oh, it's not even less exciting in the Formula 2. Grand Prix, the Australian driver, right now sitting on first, overtaking Hugh Haycox in that last round because of the problems you ran into. 3 points only between the two, and as you can see, Hugh Haycox only dropping 2 points. Everyone else except for Colin Coker dropping nothing. We also have to mention Hugh Haycox. He has more momentum than Grand Prix, but Grand Prix, he is a very steady top 10 finisher. Now, Hideki Koivisto down in 3rd place. He wasn't here last 4 rounds, so we don't know how that will shape up for him. Colin Coker, steady mid-pack finisher, and Andrew down there in 5th place. He had a miserable start to his campaign, and he is still trying to recover from that. And we're now also going to send you quickly to the Nations Cup standing, where we see USA on top ahead of United Kingdom, 14 points between the two. As you can see, Klajic, the very big gainer for the United Kingdom. It's pretty much the same story with Pawlowski in Germany, 96 points behind, and then it's very close between Australia and Norway. Norway only Trangrade there, so that's his 295 points up there. So you really have to give it up for Trangrade because he is doing a monstrous job.
Now the race details today, as we mentioned, the season is almost over. Round 11 of our 12-round Lotus 49 Championship. 2 drop weeks, which will be factored in the championship standings. The race distance here at Indianapolis will be 38 laps. The setups are open and the drivers will like that on this very tricky circuit. And the points, they will pay out to 25th position.
Yeah, and as always, we are extremely proud to showcase you your Grand Prix Legends fix on the iRacing Esports Network. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. You not only get to watch your Lotus 49s, no, but also the best of the best in the World Championship Series and other private leagues here on the IESN. And as you might have already guessed, in the background, qualifying well underway, already 3.5 minutes elapsed. And right now we have a newcomer to the series, Adrius Valentieus, in first, about 3/10 ahead of Rob Olenek and Michel Dudignon in 2nd and 3rd.
Now let's see what Adrius for the lap time puts in, because he's coming across the start-finish line now for his second lap. He did a 53.8. Second time around, he doesn't go quicker, but like you mentioned, Stefan, 0.3 of a second quicker than Rob Olenek and Michel Dudillon. That's not an easy feat for any driver. Let's take a look at Ove Trangrade. He's coming across the last corner now. He actually had already completed both his qualifying laps. He didn't go quicker than the 54.5. So Adrius seems to be by far the quickest driver in qualifying, but one thing that we saw in practice is the big effect that the draft has here on the drivers. And even though that Adrius is quicker than the drivers right behind him, I think that Rob, Michael, Ove are not out of the running, and they'll be able to keep up with him once the racing gets underway.
Yeah, we're expecting people who are about 3, 4, 5/10 slower, probably even 6/10, that they are going to be able to stick with the leader because of how the draft plays out here in these cars. And you can be so much faster in the turns, but it's probably still not gonna be enough to really break away. So really, the only point to break away is with overtakes, as Matt Muggleton is coming out of turn 4. Let's see what he can do. It's already over. So yeah, with that, we are actually gonna go to the grid and we're gonna take this one at a line there. So Adrius Valentieus, as already mentioned, first place with a 53.898 ahead of Rob Olenek, lining up on the outside there with a 54.158.
Row 2 will be shared by Michel Dudillon and Ove Trangrade in P4.
Paul Gibson in row 3, alongside him Gary Teal.
Daniel Seder will be happy with his P7 result, and Tanner McCullough, he starts the race in P8.
Sean Beattie in row 5, alongside him, probably also very happy, Cameron Bidwell.
Two rides can be found on row 6, starting with Matt Wright in P11 and Billy Bob Wright, he starts the race in P12.
Basically the right lane there. Zachary Levay in 13th, alongside him Ian Haycox.
Behind Ian Haycox, it's another Haycox, Hugh Haycox, he starts in P15, but he's being flanked by Ryan Garbin.
Tommy Unhola, the number 4 machine, normally racing the BNI, your batteries not included series with the FW31 in 17th, alongside him Grant Petullo.
New name Matt Muggleton, he starts the race in P19 and he starts just in front of Glenn Hinch, he's the last driver in the top 20.
Blackjack position goes to Colin Coker, alongside him will be Jason Wallet.
Francesco Stortoni, he starts the race in P23 and then we see Benjamin Soko all the way down in 24th position. Benjamin was trying to get a second qualifying lap in, he didn't manage to do so and that means that he has to start basically at the back of the grid.
Andrew Eng, one of the few, or many veterans rather, of this series, the last car to set a qualifying time down in 25th position. Rounding out your field will be Bruno Giacovasso in 26th and Contato Massimiliano in 27th.
Just a quick update, it seems like Contato Massimiliano didn't join the session, so it seems like he will be our first retiree of today.
I wonder if he has his first name and last name switched around and he's actually Massimiliano Contato.
Could very well be it, yeah.
But yeah, slowly starting to gather up some speed here. 75 miles an hour is the speed limit of the pace car, 60 miles per hour on the pit road. And since we are right now on the pace lap, Johan, how does the weather look here in Indy?
The weather is actually quite beautiful. I hope for all the visitors this weekend that the weather is the same. You can see there the temperature is 43 degrees Celsius and 110 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the track temperature, 26 degrees Celsius ambient. Really nice weather. Not a lot of wind either. With only, medium amount of wind, I would say, with 8 miles an hour. So the drivers will have to factor that in. But they don't have a cloud cover to hide under. But let's keep an eye on that weather if maybe a cloud cover appears, because it is partly cloudy. And if some of those clouds will move in front of the sun, that might drop the track temperature quite dramatically, very sudden. And the drivers will have a very different car and a very different track to master then.
Yeah, and we are getting ready to get underway here as we get through turn 4. Adrius Valentiejus will have the control of the field once the pace car drops into the pit lane, which is going to happen any moment now. The field bunches up. Waiting, still waiting. Now he goes. What a jump there already. Rob Olenek not being able to keep anything with him. And he is now getting under pressure from Michel Dudignon, who backs off. Will get his 3rd place through turn 1 though.
Overtrangerate stays on the outside though, he stays in P4, there's all single foul up into the top 4, but Paul Gibson, he's still side by side with Gary Thiel, and on the outside line through turn 2, it's Gary Thiel losing 2 positions there. The car of Taylor McCullough, he gets a great run out of turn 2 though, immediately to the inside of the car of Paul there. He gets a P5 position as they reach turn 3.
Paul Gibson, I wonder if he races with a guitar controller or not. On the outside of turn 3, they are still fighting for that P5. Can Tanner McCullough get this? Yes, he can. More momentum once again out of the turn. He gets P5.
With 1 lap completed, I'm gonna jinx it and I'm gonna say we are green. No incident so far. However, Matt Muggleton, he had a very strange first lap. He actually went into the pits instead of starting it normally. He has got it going again, but he is almost a complete lap down compared to the rest.
And Ove Trangrade already starting to lose a little bit of top 3 here. There's already about a second of a gap between them. And you might have already seen that on the broadcast, but it seems like Adrius Valentiejus and Rob Olenek have a little bit of a trick setup, like we were also able to see in a few years back in the real world IndyCar, where the cars are grabbing a little bit down the straights to be easier to drive through the turns.
It's very beneficial to Rob Olenek, who's completely caught up to Adrianus, swings it to the inside, gets by him before they cross the start-finish line, 17 thousandths of a second, and he is our leader when we complete lap 2. Interestingly, behind them, Michel Dunion doesn't seem like he has the same kind of crap setup. Maybe we have to take a look at him once they reach the start, like one of those longer straights. We might see it then easier. But he is actually staying quite easily with the other two drivers in front of them. However, behind Ovid Trangerade, the Norwegian, he really cannot follow suit and is dropping away a little bit in P4.
Yeah, Michel Dudignon does not have one of the setups. He's driving completely straight. Rob Olenek trying to attack. While Antiekus, there for that first position, is not able to do so. Actually, nearly ran into the back of him down into turn 3.
Just a quick update on the field. We have the top 3 very close together, and then it's basically the top 4 and 5 together, and then top 6 to P6 to P18, all in a very long snake coming across the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. No cars really side by side through the corners at this point of the race. So I see one, however, that is Tommy Miko and Hola and John Beatty. That's the battle for P13. John Beatty gets by in Hola. Sorry, there was Hugh Haycox actually overtaking John Beatty, still side by side as they reach turn 2, because it seems like Hugh Haycox got a little wiggle there, the exit of the corner. Tommy Miko and Hola is trying to profit from that, taking a look on the inside to get a position from John Beatty. Meanwhile, behind him, Ryan Garbin is just eating some popcorn, waiting to see what happens in front. John Beatty again, though, Stefan, just taking the wider line, the high line through turn 3, and that's not beneficial to him. And now it's Hola on the inside.
Yeah, Hugh Haycox with a lot of problems in the last few turns. Once again, big wobble out of turn 4. And also Matt and Billy right up ahead. They had also a little bit of a kerfuffle between them. Everything stayed without trouble though. And it seems Ovid Trangerade is under attack from Tanner McCullough. So Tanner McCullough now moving up to P4.
Yeah, we actually managed Tanner McCullough in the qualifying lineup because he only started the P8, but Tanner on race pace alone seems to be very quick already to P4. Meanwhile, up front, you can see it on screen, Rob Olenek leapfrogging Adrius Valentius. Gets a P1 position, but I have to say Michel Dudillon still following very closely. Not really wanting to lead at this point, the Frenchman just wants to see what happens in front of them. But all this fighting with the top 2 means that Tanner McCullough and Ovid Trangerade behind them are catching up. And this top 5...
Oh, put it out to take the line of someone here in GSRC. Hugh Haycox into the wall.
Go to a replay of that incident that basically happened on the exit of turn 3. It's something that we saw here. You see the aftermatch when the car is carousing over the track. It's something that we saw several times happen in practice on the exit of the corner. In these cars, you just understeer. A lot of the times you see cars sliding out of the corner, try to avoid the wall, but this time it was just a little bit too much tracking out that Hugh Haycox did. Luckily, however, he didn't hit a single other car. Just bounced it around himself, and well, the race of the Frenchman is over. From the Brit is over, who races from France. A heavy crash from Hugh Haycox, but like I said, luckily no other drivers involved in that heavy shunt.
Yeah, Hugh Haycox, the son of Ian Haycox, racing out of France because he is on study there. And it's actually now going to be interesting if anyone is going to take to the pit stalls for tires. Do we expect someone for tires go down that strategy, Johan?
I wouldn't think that one of the leaders is gonna do it. If someone would do it, I would almost say maybe one of the people in the back of the field. But let's see what actually happens, because these cars, of course, are a completely different beast than, well, say an Indy car that you might drive on Indianapolis. Let's see if one of the drivers actually will come in for the pit stop. One thing that I found... Jason Wallet comes in, and Bruno Iacovazzo as well. Interesting to see Matt Muggleton again comes in through the... This is second pit stop already. Luckily, because of the caution, this time it won't cost Matt Muggleton a lot coming in to visit his pit crew. One thing that I found interesting was Bruno Iacovazzo and... Oh, as Matt Muggleton actually misses his pit box. has to reverse a little bit to get back there. So I think that he will be last coming out of this train. But one thing that I found interesting was Bruno Jacovazzo and Andrew Eng. Those were two drivers that were not involved in the rest of the pack. They completely fell behind. We're fighting with just the two of them. And I'm actually wondering if this pit stop will give Bruno the pace advantage that he needs to really get rid of Andrew Eng, pass him again, and then just leave him behind in the dust. That's maybe one thing to keep an eye on, how quick Bruno is after this pit stop. With these three coming in, I think that it will be 2 more laps before we go green, Stefan.
Yeah, it is gonna be interesting how that's gonna play out for them. Now we have to say we did prepare a little bit of trivia for you guys out there, and Johan, I don't know if you knew this, but the plans for this track down way back in 1909 looked a little bit different. Should have been a 3 to maybe even 5 mile long track with 100 to 150 foot wide tarmac, or rather, gravel split, stuff like that. But once they bought this land and flattened it, they realized it's not with the grandstands attached, it's not going to fit on the land. So they had to come down to this 2.5 mile long track that we see before us here today.
Can you imagine, though, if they actually did a track like that? It would have been the size of a small country if they actually managed to do that. Already with the speeds that modern Indy cars managed to do at a track like Indianapolis, imagine if it was even double the size, how quick they could have gone there.
Yeah, and the very first race was not held on the bricks that we had, but they were actually weird mixture of stuff, and it had taroidin, which is a solution of tar and oil, and it made the cars, the drivers, completely sticky, and all those stones. Actually, one of the drivers nearly went blind when one of those stones hit him in the goggles, so they had to obviously repave that, and that's when the legendary bricks come in. 3.2 million bricks were laid just a month after the first race in October 1909, and yeah, hand laid 3.2 million bricks. I can't imagine how that was for them.
Amazing achievement. Just a quick update on Matt Muggleton. We just mentioned he was coming in for the pit stop. Well, he came again in for a pit stop. I think Matt is going for the record of most pit stops in an Indy race. Again, however, he did miss his pit stall again, so he didn't learn from the first time. But luckily for him, he was the only one who went into the pits. He's now lining up on the back, and I think we're almost going to get racing again.
Yeah, and one quick update. Grand Prix lost internet juice. He's out of the race. That has huge impact to his Formula 2 championship campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Not even a mistake on track, but technical error difficulties, meaning that Grand Prix is retired. So we're after Hugh Haycox and Contanto Massimiliano. Grand Prix is our third retiree, and we have 24 cars left in the run.
Here they come again, this time Rob Olenek with the control of the field, still waiting to go on the throttle. There he goes now, and puts a distance between himself and Adrius Valentiejius, who is side by side with Michel Dourignon for that second place position. Will he be able to do it? No, he left. Let's him have his P2.
Now I'm looking a little bit wary at the double foul restart. Let's hope that all these drivers can keep it clean. It seems to be clean all the way around. Some cars are still double foul, but it's mostly in the back of the grid. Oh, it's Tume Mikon Hola in the midfield. Got very sideways, almost rear-ended Matt Wright in the middle of turn 2. That, however, went fine, and now we see a move for the lead. Adrianus got a great slingshot out of the back, onto the back straight. Side by side with Rob Olenek, who completely understeers. Can he save it? He can save it, but it means that Michel Dourignon will get the position. He will go to P2. Tanner McCullough got a great drive as well. He peeks the nose in on the inside of turn 4. On the exit of that corner, who is better? It seems like Rob Olenek has a slightly better drive, but Tanner McCullough has the draft of Michel Dourignon, and that gives him the benefit he needs to leapfrog Rob Olenek and gets that P3 position going into turn 1, Stefan.
Yeah, and Michel Dourignon a bit too hot into turn 1, nearly rear ends Valentiejius there, so he had to back out, and Tanner McCullum finally completed the pass on Rob Olenek, and now he's threatening Michel Dourignon for his second place. There he goes to the inside. Will he be able to complete the pass into turn 3?
I love to see all those cars swarming like a bunch of angry bees to the left, to the right, on the back straight. However, it is Tanner McCullough up front. You can see the blue car. He gets P2, he gets by the Frenchman. Let's see if Tanner actually can close down the gap to Adrius in front. The gap has grown to around 0.4 of a second. As the slingshot out of turn 4, he gets a good run out of the corner. Same can be said for Rob Olenek, however, in turn 4. Leopard printed car is trying to close down on Michel Dudillon in front of him. Understeers a little bit again, Rob Olenek. Loses a bit of time, and that gives Paul Gibson the opportunity to catch up slightly.
What a race so far though from Tanner McCullough, starting in P8, already up to second place. A little bit of a bad run out of turn 2. Michel Dudillon with the better run goes to the inside. So he tries now to overtake him into turn 3, and will he be able to do so? Yes, he will be. Yeah, he will be.
Field is being split up now between P1, P16, and the people behind
Oh,
P16.
caution.
Another yellow. That is Zachary Lefay, who's upside down in turn 3. Let's see actually what happened. Zachary Lefay just saw Benjamin Soka overtake Glenn Hinch in front of him a few corners before, and as he tried to do the same thing in turn 3, I don't forget to brake, lost the car. I don't really exactly know what happened there.
I think he braked too hard and lost the rear because of that. I first thought he downshifted, but no, it's just you can see on the onboard the revs are dropping, so I think he just stepped too hard on the brake and completely lost it.
Yeah, it seems like he didn't maybe anticipate that he would be on the inside of that corner side by side with who would it be? Glenn Hinch. Just braked too late and put himself in the wall. Well, that means that we got back to a yellow. We have a lot of cars, and actually it is Tanner McCullough. It almost seems like trying to sell the dummy there. Going all the way to the inside. Let's actually see if some of these cars will come in for the pit stop. We obviously saw it at the previous caution that we had, with 3 drivers coming in for a pit stop. Those were Bruno Iacovazzo, Jason Wallet, and Matt Muggleton. All those drivers didn't really get any benefit from their pit stop. There's still the last 3 drivers on track. However, I want to say Grant Petullo, we mentioned that he retired because of some connection issues. He is back on track, but I think that he's several laps down. So Grant will be keeping his eye on any hopeful retirements. And he can win a few positions with that. Now we go and we see a lot of dummies being played in the midfield. Over Trangerate was one, Daniel Sedler was one, Unhola one. There's several Finns actually trying to sell the dummy there. Great to see. And Matt Muggleton, well, calling me not surprised with Matt Muggleton coming in for a pit stop again. Jason Wallet and Bruno Iacovazzo again come in for a pit stop as well. So they want some new tires and maybe some extra fuel added to their cars, but besides those 3, it is everyone staying out on track.
Staying out in track they indeed are, and second caution means second trivia time. Now, we said in the beginning of this broadcast that Indianapolis is the second oldest still existing non-dirt track, and the oldest ever track is actually a track we have on iRacing. It's Knoxville Raceway. The first race held there in 1901. It was until then a horse racing track since the late 1980s, believe it or not. The second oldest track. It's also a track we have on iRacing, Johan. Any guesses?
I don't know. Is it an American track or a European one?
It's American.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. I'm gonna say it's one of the ovals.
Indeed.
I don't know. Help me out here.
Milwaukee. The first race held there in 1903. Started in 1899 as a 1-mile horse racing track, and then since 1903 it is having hosted races, obviously also as a dirt track back then. The first ever purpose-built track, however, is Brooklands, the no longer in place Brooklands. It's in Surrey. Was built in June 1907. The oldest asphalt oval, also a track we have on iRacing, Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park, May 1940 started their operation, and the first closed circuit race was held on September 7th, 1896. And the funny thing is, it was held at Narragansett Trotting Park in Cranston, Rhode Island, and it was won, believe it or not, by the electric car of the Riker Electric Vehicle Company.
So after all the years of combustion engines, it was all being led by an electric car winning there. And let's go, because we are still under caution. As you can see, the lights on the safety car are still on, so that means that we at least have 1.5 lap to go before we continue our race. Now let's actually recap the retirements that we so far have this race. Contanto Massimiliano, he was the only driver that did not start this race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Hugh Haycox, he retired early. He brought out the first safety car with a big crash in turn 3. Graham Patullo, he is the next car. He, however, is back out on track. He had some connection issues, but he made it back in. Let's see if his coming back out actually will help him to gain a few more positions down the line. Zachary Lefay, he was the next retirement after the big crash in turn 3. He is now currently sitting in 24th position. And I also see Colin Coker currently sitting in the pit, Stefan. I actually see what happened with Colin Coker, because he was doing quite well. He was driving in towards the back of the field, but he was doing quite well. So he had several cars in front of him. He has some damage on the front.
On the replay, and oh my God, Colin Coker, what a mistake there. He got scared. No. He was trying to warm up his tires or something like that when he caught the field and just completely ended his race into the outside wall of the front stretch.
Oh, that's very painful for Colin. He crashed out under yellow, and actually one other car was not helped by that. It was Matt Muggleton. This was all when the yellow flag came out. Colin Coker, he was trying to warm up his tires. This is actually what happened. This is Colin Coker, the purple and red car. Now after turn 4, he will slow down, try to warm up his tires, and basically around the pit entrance, he will lose control of his car. Well, as he loses control of his car, he swings it in the wall, and you can see there another car losing control. That's Matt Muggleton. And luckily for Matt Muggleton, he didn't hit the wall. He could continue with maybe a change of pants next time he goes to the pits. But wow, that's really heavy for Colin Coker, who was having a good race until that point.
That explains why Matt Muggleton was in the pit lane again. It wasn't for tires or anything. He needed a new race suit.
I mean, who knows, yeah. Well, he's out back again, Matt Muggleton now. He will join the back of the grid as all the cars are going double foul again, Stefan, and that can only mean one thing. We're going to go back to race.
Yeah, it's gonna go back to green. Your current top 5 at the end of this caution are Adrius Valentierus ahead of Michel Dudillon, Tanner McCullough, Rob Olenek. Paul Gibson is your 5th car right now with the number 14. So if he stays in this position, it's gonna be a good iRacing hole for him.
Absolutely. With only one more corner to go, let's see who can lead going into turn 1. Last time around, Rob Olenek, he managed to defend his position, but Rob is now a little bit further behind in P4. Let's see what happens once the pace car comes in, Stefan. Ooh, as they go, it's Adrius waiting a little bit. Now he is going. Look at Tanner McCullough. He is right on the gearbox. And that actually helps him to leapfrog Michel Dudillon. P3 immediately side by side with P2. Who can get it around the outside of turn 1? Michel Dudillon just breaking more speed into that corner. But on the apex, it's Tanner who's slightly quicker. But that track position that Michel had in the first part of the corner, that's in P2. And he stays in front. The gap between P4 and P3, however, has grown, Stefan.
It kind of does seem like that Michel Dudillon, because of his normal setup, so to speak, he is fast in a straight line, but Tanner McCullough and Adrius Valentierus, they are just able to take so much more speed through those turns.
Sorry, crash in the backfield. Glenn Hins hard into the wall. Contact with Francesco Stortoni. No caution, no caution. Let's see if Glenn Hins can get rid of his car quickly so we stay under green. He parks it back to the... Oh, he actually tries to get it going again. I don't think that will work, Glenn, with a crabbing car like that.
Bold strategy, keeping that one going.
Yeah, we are still on the green though. We go to replay of the incident that happened on the back straight there. Heavy contact for Glenn Hitch. He really got the worst of it, and Francisco could continue. We are still on green, however. No caution yet, and that's really good news for all the drivers and all the viewers and all the commentators on board.
I think iRacing got bored of our trivia, so they want to keep that one going. Either way, Atreus still first, but now Tanner McCullough with a lot of steam does decide to stick back, though probably a little bit too late. That head of steam came. Michel Dodignon still third place. Rob Olenek back up on the back of Michel Dodignon. Paul Gibson with a little bit of a gap. It's about 4/10, so he is still well within reach of this draft.
Let's put some emphasis on the driver behind that. As the top drivers will be seen overtake, by the way. Let's actually keep an eye on that. Now everyone just stays in position. I wanted to give a little bit of emphasis on P6, Cameron Bidwell. Cameron, he's having a superb race as well. Started in P10 with iRating wise car number 18, so you wouldn't expect him this far up the grid, but he started racing P10, already overtaking 4 cars this race, and he got by over Trangerade last time around. He's closing the gap to Paul Gibson as well, so Cameron starting in the top 10, now making his moves, making his way towards the top 5.
Gary Thiel and Tommy Unhola right now side by side there for P9. Gary Thiel seems to not be able to keep his momentum up on the inside, but now a mistake from Tommy Unhola. But once again, Gary Thiel not able to keep any momentum on the inside. Now 3 wide there. That is Matt Wright on the inside.
And he got so close to Gary Thiel there on the exit of turn 4. It's also 3 wide with Billy Bob Wright, who gets very courageous into turn 1. They think the better of it, and it's Matt Wright getting that position to Gary Thiel as they get very close to the exit there. But Gary Thiel around the outside, he has more momentum, gets by Matt Wright. Again in turn 2, very close between the two. Gary Thiel wants to touch the apex as Matt Wright actually touches some grass there on the inside. They keep it in a straight line behind him. John Beatty Jr., Billy Bob Wright, and also Benjamin Soko. Several drivers have the overdrive because of this heavy fighting. Meanwhile, Tommy Nikonhola in front. He's loving this because he can drive away. Double side by side there as they go into turn 3. Benjamin Soko on the outside of Beatty. Matt Wright being overtaken by Billy Bob Wright. Still side by side, Benjamin Soko. He wants to go by Johnny Beatty around that outside. And look at the momentum he gained in the middle of the corner. You would almost think he would overtake Matt Wright. Doesn't do so. On the outside, it's Ryan Garvin getting by John Beatty, who's too slow and also gets overtaken by Ian Haycox. Great driving in the midfield here.
Incredible, great racing up ahead. We also have
crash now! Ian Haycox, he cannot avoid
Put it out!
Oh, it's several cars hard in the wall after that. Oh, Benjamin Soko taking out another car. Francesco Stortini is involved. Matt Muggleton, Grant Petullo, Andrew Ang. Several cars involved. Jason Wallett as well. And it all started with Benjamin Soko in turn 1. Just tracking out a little bit.
I actually wonder if Andrew Ang got past all of that without getting any damage. We have to see that, but yeah, Ian.
It just happens in front. Benjamin Soko, he brakes too late. He has to brake way harder in the middle of the corner. And Ian Haycox kind of does the same thing. And they just meet each other on the second line of the first corner. And they hit each other. And then behind them, Jason Wallet, Francesco Stratoni, who actually been barrel rolling several times, couldn't avoid them. Matt Muggleton and Grant Petullo also just couldn't avoid the people in front.
Yeah, it seems like it's just a basic accordion effect there of what all happened. There's the onboard with Andrew Ang now.
Yeah, little head for Andrew Ang, but I think that he will be able to continue. Also, Grant Petullo. Oh man, it's such a shame. Maybe we can watch the replay of Grant Petullo. We can go. We still, as you can see, under caution at the moment. But Grant Petullo, he was one of the drivers involved in that. He almost got through it, but just in the last part of that crash, he got involved with, I think, Matt Muggleton in front of him. And that actually ruins the nose and maybe the front suspension as well of Grant Petullo, who actually went up and over the car of Matt Muggleton. I hope that he can get it going again and get it repaired with a quick pit stop. You can see the smoke in front of Grant Petullo. He knows that there's a lot of stuff wrong. Actually takes the correct line there. Just cannot avoid Matt Muggleton in front of him, leapfrogs over him. That's some damage for Grand Prix as well. And like you said at the beginning of the broadcast, Stefan, that is big news for the Formula 2 Championship, because Grand Prix, he is the leader there. This will be great news for other drivers in that competition, like Hugh Haycox, like Andrew Ng, like Colin Coker, who will be able to, at least not lose as much points as they otherwise would to Grand Prix.
And an update quickly on Andrew Ng. It seems like he has some problems as he is into pit lane now. So yeah, seems like he has to repair a little bit of damage, taking the safer option there. But as the caution is out, we're now gonna head off to our very first caution. We're gonna back in just a few moments with more exciting racing here from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The lights continue to be on the pace car of the Indy, the historic Indy, so to speak, as now they finally turn off, signifying the end of this pace lap. And Johan, it has been a very interesting race so far.
Absolutely. Well, of course, some viewers will say, like, we had 3 crashes. Those are really exciting. But I have to say, I just love the racing up front. We have seen several, let's just say, main protagonists at this point. We have seen Rob Olenek, who started the race very well in P2, now dropped away a little bit. He is driving around in P4. In front of him, it's Mr. I'm always there and I'm always good. It's Michel Dudillon. He has recently returned to the Lotus 49, started P3, currently driving in P3, but you know that as long as Michel has a chance for the win, he will try to take it. Tanner McCullough, he currently drives in P2. Well, what a race Tanner has had. He started in P8 and he just completely fought his way up the field. Great race from him so far. He starts now on the outside of the front row on the next restart, but the main guy to beat this race is Adrius Valentius. He has started the race on pole position. He is currently leading. He is continuously battled with all the drivers behind him, and I think that everyone has to make their chest wet to beat Adrius today, because that's going to be a really tough feat.
Yeah, it really is going to be, but I think if someone has something for Adrius, it is going to be Tanner, who is right now in that second position. So we might see a good showdown between them. Quick update on the weather. The track temperature at this point of time, 106 Fahrenheit. So it got a tiny little bit less hot on the track. But here comes the pace car once again into pit lane. Adrius Valentius. Now he goes. And once again leaves everyone in the dust behind him. Seems like he really did practice those starts before this race, but Michel Dudillon also with a great start, not able to leapfrog Tanner McCullough into turn 1, so they stay 2 and 3.
But the outside line of Tanner, that just really helps him. You could see that every time one of the drivers takes one of those outside lines, they lose it in the apex, but on the rundown out of the corner, they win it back. Michel Dudillon, however, he is glued to the gearbox of the car in front, gets closer and closer, but doesn't use that slingshot to try and move into turn 3. However, Adrius cannot get away as behind Rob Olenek. Wow, we have seen him do this several times this race, just completely misses the apex of the corner and actually loses the connection slightly with the cars in front, and that might give an opportunity to Cameron Bidwell, who's currently driving in P5, to move himself to the top 4.
Racing like this makes me want to hop into one of those low lines too, but it's I think it's right now it's better for me to just stay here, because I would get a little bit too excited at points like these, in races like these, where it's pretty much all or nothing.
Absolutely. Just a quick update, with 12 more laps to go. We have still 18 cars on the lead lap. 2 cars are out there that are currently a few laps down, meaning Grant Petullo, he's a few laps down, and Hugh Haycox, the driver that was involved in the very first caution that we saw, he is back out on track, 14 laps down the rest of the field.
Yeah, and especially the back half of your field is starting to spread out a little bit. Right now, the closest cars we have right now are your top 5 of Adrius Valentius, Tanner McCullough, Michel Dudillon, Rob Olenek, Cameron Bidwell, and let's also throw Paul Gibson into that.
And let's go back to the lead, because Tanner McCullough, you can see him on the inside there. He leapfrogs Adrius around the outside of turn 1. Adrius tries to get back at him. Doesn't make it stick, however. Let's see what Michel Dudillon and Rob Olenek can do now. Cameron Bidwell, don't forget about him. He's right there in turn 5. Everyone gets bunched up in the apex of turn 2. No overtakes there, however. They all stay a single file out of the second corner. Look at the run that Adrius immediately gets on Tanner. And that lead that he got around 1 kilometer ago, he immediately loses. But look there, Michel Dudillon profits from that. He makes it not 1 but 2 passes on Tanner McCullough. If he can actually get by him, it seems that he can't. They're still side by side as they reach the exit of turn 3. Going into turn 4, Tanner McCullough still on the outside, and we've seen here, if you're in this position, you get a great run out of that corner. Is that the case for Tanner? It seems like it, yeah, because he can also use the draft of Adrius in front. Rob Olenek, in the meantime, tries to get by, but he cannot get by the slingshot that Michel's getting now over the car of Tanner as they reach turn 1 again, Stefan.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a tug of war right now between Michel Dudillon and Tanner McCullough of who wants to get that position 2 more right now. It really hurts Cameron Bidwell and Rob Olenek, though, because both of those 2 drivers with great runs every single time these 2 fight, but just not able to do anything because they get bottled down on the exits of the turns. And Cameron Bidwell tried to go around the outside now of Rob Olenek, but also did stick back.
Almost looked like Cameron was just trying a slightly different racing line there to get a moment on Rob Olenek. Let's actually see what happens now as they come out of final corner. with 10 laps to go, if I'm correct, Cameron Bidwell, he is actually getting a great run out of that final corner, side by side with Rob Olenek. As they reach turn 1, Rob Olenek tries to squeeze him a little bit to the inside, and you can see Cameron just thinking the better of that. He backs out, but that also means that Rob Olenek completely misses the apex. That loses him some speed, and also the connection to Michel Dudillon. Those P4, P5, and P6 in the form of Paul Gibson slot back together like a rubber band that's being released. Up top, Tanner McCullough is getting a great run out of turn 2. He puts it side by side with Adrius Valentius. Gets by there. Michel Dudillon also with a monster run, but he thinks the better of it. It doesn't do a dive bomb going into turn 3, slots back in. But we have a new leader, Tanner, up in front.
Tanner leading for the second time. Does he get credit with leading this lap? Does Adrius once again with a great run out of turn 4. Coming a little bit of a common news here for him, and once again he leapfrogs.
Car in the wall. Ryan Garbin and Matt Muggleton gets flipped because of that. Both cars are flipping over the start of the stage, and we go back to caution.
Yeah, put it out once again. There's a car tumbling that is Matt there in the foreground of your screen. As we take you on the replay to showcase you that wreck once again. There they are, tumbling down the front stretch.
But to be honest though, it wasn't really the mistake of Matt. It was Ryan who got a little bit of a wiggle on the exit of turn 4. That sent him into the wall, and he just feared off that as Matt was trying to get by him. And that collected both the drivers, sent them tumbling down. Luckily, no one else was involved in that crash, but I think that after the many times that Matt has visited the pits, this will be the last time, because that car will have some heavy suspension damage after that flip.
God damn it, Johan, taking my choke away.
Ryan Garbin as well having some damage after that. You can see it there, heavy wreck, and just lucky that no other drivers are involved after that.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
It's rather interesting that everyone else behind was able to just, stick to the outside and not getting collected in that, because normally we see these cars being quite tricky to get slowed down in time for a wreck, especially like this.
Absolutely. Now, let's actually look at some of the drivers that came out during that last run, because Colin Coker, that's a driver that we haven't mentioned a lot in quite a while. He's back out on track. He is the last driver that is still driving around in P25. Currently 17 laps down. He took quite a few repairs. Good to see that Colin is back out there. We mentioned it before. This is, of course, very big for the Formula 2 championship. Colin Coker is standing in P4 there. Grant Patullo is in P1 in that championship. And Hugh Haycox, another driver that was involved in the incident, is in P2. So Hugh Haycox and Colin Coker are thinking that as long as Grant Patullo is still lapping around, and he's doing so in P19, we have to be out there as well to score as many points as we can. Make sure that Grant Patullo won't finish the championship out with one more round to go next week.
Yeah, I don't remember how much Andrew Ang was behind all of them, but he's also still circulating down there in 16th position. Starting from 25th, he's one of your top movers in the field, the top mover of your field right now. People that are on the lead lap is actually Bruno Ciacovazzo ahead of him. Started in 26th and right now in 14th.
Yeah, Andrew Ang is indeed P5 in the Formula 2 championship, but with a gap of 60 points to Grant Patullo. It will be difficult for him to catch up. But, well, you never say never, and you never know what will happen to the drivers in front with, of course, here in Indianapolis, but also next week when we finish out the season in Montreal. Let's actually see what happens here. We see that the space car still has its lights on. That means that we at least have one more lap to go. Probably 2 more laps to go. With 2 more laps to go, I think that if I calculate it correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, Director, we will have 5 more laps to go once we go back to green. With basically the same starting grid as we had last time around. Andrius Valentius, he will start on the inside of row 1. Tanner McCullough on the outside. Michel Dudillon and Rob Olenek, they will share row 2 as we go back to green soon.
All right, we heard you, and we have actually a little bit of trivia left over And that is actually the original surface, how that one was composed to that only first and only race at Indianapolis, motor race, we have to say. And that was actually 2 inches of gravel, 2 inches of limestone covered with taroid, which is a solution of tar and oil, as Ray said, not used anymore today. Then 1 to 2 inches of crushed stone chips covered with taroid, and a final topping of said crushed stones, which were flung around quite heavily in the first race here. And we have to also say there should have been a motorcycle race before the first auto race here at Indianapolis, but because of safety concerns, that was not held. The very first race, however, Johan,
Yes.
you're not gonna be able to guess what that was.
Oh, the very first race. I will guess it was bicycles.
No, wrong. It was a
What was
hot
it?
air balloon race.
around the circuit.
No, it was from Indianapolis to another city. I forgot to write down what city it was, but there we go. It was on Saturday, June 5th, 1909, more than 2 months before the oval was actually completed. The event drew reportedly 40,000 people to the oval, and 9 balloons lifted off for racing. The
Amazing.
balloon by the name of Universal City won the race, landing 382 miles away in Alabama after spending more than a day aloft.
Wow, that is an achievement. Not only winning that race, but staying more than 1 hour in a hot air balloon in such a confined space. That's really, really special. Now, as we go back to the racing, a lot of bit of trivia. I like the one that you said about all the pieces of track that you that Indianapolis have. You have some pictures on the internet where people actually took like a sample of all the different layers of track throughout the more than 100 years of history it has. It is so beautiful to see, like going from the gravel to the bricks to the different stone layers to the taroid layers to the asphalt layers. It's just great to see like how such a piece of track actually can hold so much history of one location. We go back to the pace car. He is actually coming across the start-finish line, and luckily the lights are going off. So with 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go as they go next time over the start-finish line, we will go back green. We already mentioned who the top 4 drivers are. Michel Dudion, Rob Olenek, they're starting on row 2. Behind them, Cameron Bidwell and Paul Gibson. They will share row 3. Over Trangeray, that's a driver that we haven't mentioned for a little bit. He dropped down since the race started and was actually one of the drivers I was keeping my eye on, Stefan. He is now driving in P7, but I remember a race a while ago at Talladega that these Lotus 49 drivers had, where a lot of things happened in the last lap, and there was one car jumping through the smoke to a victory, and that was the car of this Norwegian. So keep your eye on over Trangeray if all disaster breaks loose towards the end of the race. He's starting the race again at P7. He's being flanked on row 4 by Daniel Sedro.
Yeah, never count out the Norwegian driver of Trangeray. He really can make a move in just a quick notice and be done with it. The last 2 cars in your top 10 right now are Tommy Unhola from 17th up to 9th, and Gary Thiel, who also has a little bit of the wrong gear in his car, started 6th down to 10th at this point of time. And as I already mentioned, Adrius Valentillejos, he will lead your field once again to the green flag for the last 5 laps of this motor race, the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legends Series, live here on the iRacing Esports Network. Round 11. And off we go yet again. Adrius Valentillejos once again with great start, leaving Tanner McCullough and Michel Dudignon in his dust. But this time Michel not with a very good start, so Tanner McCullough without any troubles. Into turn 1 he goes. Big overspeed there, gets it slowed down in time though. And he is really on the back now of Valentillejos.
Several cars behind him are side by side. One of them is Daniel Sedro. He's being passed by several drivers now. including over Triangulate and
Oh,
Cameron
3
Bidwell.
wide.
3 wide, Tommy Mikonola. This is the time of the race where you're gonna put it 3 wide. Is the Finn gonna do it? No, he's gonna back out. No, he's actually gonna do it. Loses it, saves it. What a save! What a save from Mikonola. Almost lost it, got it back together. He loses a few positions, but he gains a lot of respect doing so. Go to a replay of that incident. He's actually still battling with Billy Bob Wright. What a move from Mikonola. He saw a gap, he went for it. He had to brake way harder than he probably thought he had to. And he actually saved it with 3 wheels on the grass. Great car control for the Finn. And he can continue in P12, I think he's currently driving around. As we go back to the live images, Gary Thiel, he is trying to overtake over Triangulate. That's the battle for P8. Now he's being overtaken by over Triangulate. Over Triangulate back to P8. But as we go back to the lead, it is Michel Dunion. Well, it's not really the lead, it's P2. Michel Dunion is involved in a heavy battle with Tanner McCullough. Tanner McCullough actually almost getting a bit of help by the draft of Adrius as Michel Dunion goes hot into turn 3 there, Stefan. Takes the wide line and does that give Tanner McCullough an option in turn 4? I think they will go side by side there.
They are no longer side by side, but here comes Tanner McCullough, leaving him a little bit of breathing room. Really steps on the throttle and now really side by side, but here comes Rob Olenek. Will he take it 3 wide? No, he does not. Slots in behind Tanner McCullough. Tanner McCullough taking over that second place again from Michel Dunion that he just lost half a lap ago. Rob Olenek not able to stay side by side with Michel Dunion, so he slots into 4th place.
I think there was a hair width between Michel Dudion's right rear tire and the wall there on the exit of turn 1, but he kept it in a straight line. 1.5 lap to go. It is Rob Olenek now putting the pressure on the Frenchman. He wants to get a podium here at Indianapolis, but all these drivers are still out there for the win. Adrius, however, streaking away a little bit as Michel goes very hot once again into the corner, almost taking out Tanner McCullough. Disaster averted, however, but this means that the gap between those 2 drivers has grown a little bit. Let's see what kind of run Tanner McCullough can get out of turn 4. Can he close down the gap to our leader with 1 more lap to go?
I didn't know I can make noises that high, but I just prove it right on live TV here. But Tanner McCullough, now white flag is in the air. Lap 38 of 38. Adriandus Valentiejus right now in the lead, ahead of Tanner McCullough, Michel Dudignon and Rob Olenek. His chasers right now. Tanner McCullough with he seems to have a little bit of problems, always out of the turn, not finding his perfect acceleration spot. Tanner McCullough looking to the inside of Valentiejus. Will he be there? No, he will not. Slots in behind again. Turn 3, they go. Michel Dudignon sideways there through turn 3. Holds his line there. Slow on acceleration. That gives a chance to Rob Olenek to overtake him on the inside. Turn 4, they go. One last acceleration and Rob Olenek actually able to get past there. Will he? No, he slides once again. So that is not but ahead. Adrianus Valentiejus, he's in threat of losing that race and it goes to Tanner McCullough.
What a run from Tanner McCullough out of the final corner. He actually gets by Adrius by 18 thousandths of a second after 50 minutes of racing. He wins after starting the race in P8 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Go to a replay of that. Let's just look at the moment they cross start finish line, because that's a few millimeters that Tanner is in front there. He used all the draft he needed to get by Adrius. Adrius tried to cover him, made him try to go the long way around, but he actually managed it in the end. On board with Tanner, you can see it here. Goes to the apex, gets a good run out of that corner, and you know that when you reach the exit of turn 4, you just have to hang into the gearbox of the car in front. Use all the draft that you can find. But try to get by him. You can see Adrius trying to cover the inside. He did well doing so, but Tanner McCullough, the finishing line was 1 meter too late for Adrius Valentiejus. He loses that lead, and Tanner McCullough, he is our winner at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, what a finish. And there was also a bit of a finish in behind that is Bidwell, but it's not the finish he would have liked.
Ooh, and that's actually one of the drivers that was far up our grid. We mentioned him having a good race from P10 to P5 at one point. You can see here trying to overtake one of the cars in front, losing it. This was bad, but then it gets hard there.
Bullet! Wow! Over Triangulate. How lucky can you be? And that sent Cameron Bidwell into a tornado. There we have the onboard of Ove Trangerate.
I think they high-fived each other once he went over that, but nothing more. And Ove Trangerate actually didn't lose a position after that.
That was extremely lucky for Ove Trangerate there. But yeah, the racing might be over here in the racing capital of the world, but the show is far from done. We're going to step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we'll be back quickly for the post-race show where we will run you down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as GSRC and IESN will be back after these messages. Welcome you all back to the Grand Prix Legends post-race show, streaming into your home on the iRacing eSports Network. And the first thing on our to-do list after this incredible race is, as always, the unofficial finishing order, which Tanner McCullough stands atop after a great run out of the last turn. He overtakes Adrius Valentiejos just a few centimeters before the finishing line, 0.018 seconds between those two. Michel Dudignon starts in third, finishes in third. Rob Olenek not able to make the pass happen out of the last turn like Tanner McCullough. He stands in fourth place. Paul Gibson, another one of those drivers, starts in fifth, finishes in fifth with his number 14 machine. Daniel Sadro in sixth place ahead of Ove Trangerate, and not the race he probably wanted today. Gary Thiel, 8th place. Matt Wright leading once again. A little bit of the Metro. They both made up 2 positions. He goes from 11th to 9th, and Billy Wright from 12th to 10th.
Behind him, just outside of the top 10, is John Beatty Jr. He finishes in P11. What a run from Andrew Eng, starting the race in P25, finishing in P12. Great work from him. Same can be said for Jason Wallet and Bruno Giacovazzo. Both of those drivers made a lot of pit stops, but it brought them something in the end. They come home in P13 and P14. And there's a few drivers that actually were involved in incidents today, finishing a few laps down. Cameron Bidwell, he was one of the drivers that was fighting for a very good top 5 position, but saw disaster struck 1 lap before the end. Classified in P15, Tommy Miko and Hola. He had a great save at one point. What a run. And what a move he tried to make in turn 3. Only brings in P16 in the end. Our Formula 2 leader, Grant Petullo. he had some disaster at the beginning of the race with a shoddy internet connection, but he comes home in P17. Matt Muggleton, he had some crashes. He comes home in P18 in front of Ryan Garbin and Hugh Haycox. He closes out the top 20.
The list of crashed cars continues with Ian Haycox finishing in 21st, Colin Coker 22nd, Glenn Hinch 23rd, Benjamin Soko in 24th, Francesco Stortoni 25th, and Zachary Levey, the last car to take the green flag, in 26th. Massimiliano Contato not taking the green flag in 27th. And now we're joined by Tanner McCullough. Now, Tanner, what a finish!
Yeah, it's nice to have some draft out there. I don't think I had the pace to beat O'Druce anywhere else. Anytime I got by him, he immediately got by me, but I could do it once. And I saved it for the last lap.
Once is all enough if you're on a track like this. Now, you're not a regular in this car, but you have to admit, it's fun to drive, isn't it?
Oh, it's just a blast. And whoever worked on my setup this week just did a fantastic job. It was flying out there, real fun.
Well, it opens the question, though, Tanner. You started in 8th and finishing in 1st, and you're saying you didn't have to pace. You sure, mate?
Yeah, it was all under the hood, really. The driver talent wasn't there, but the setup really took me to the top.
Well, the next race, last race of the season, will we see you?
Where's it at? Montreal? Maybe.
Yeah, Montreal.
Yeah. I might be there.
All right, we're going to look forward, and I'm going to take that as a promise to fight against you at Montreal. But yeah, that was Tanner McCullough, your winner of the race. Next up, Johan, who will be talking to Rob Olenek.
Yeah, Rob, welcome to the booth. What a finish, what a race! But in the end, just out of the podium positions, you had a great run going on Michel Dunion in the last lap. How did you settle yourself for that?
I thought I could get by him, but I think I got on the gas just a tiny bit too early, and I think I was gonna push wide into him, so I had to lift a little and give it up. But I tried. I'm awful in these oval cars, and I'm just so lucky to end up in 4th here.
But to be honest, for someone who is awful in ovals, you got a great qualifying in P2. Now, one thing that we noticed on your setup or on the screen was that it almost seems like your car was crabbing over the straights. Was that something with a setup that you were trying to maybe give yourself a little bit more stability or speed in the corners?
You know, I struggled with setup all week long. I was on like my 12th version, and Tanner's been really fast all week, so he actually posted up a set, and I switched over to his set last night. It definitely does crab. I mean, you're definitely turning the wheel to the right going down the straights. His setup is a lot better than mine was. I mean, that's probably the main reason I ended up where I did.
Well, you ended up in P4, netting you a big amount of points for your championship aspirations. One more round to go next week in Montreal. The championship is getting awfully close, right?
Yeah, it's really close. It's close for the GP Legends and for the iRacing. I think Roman and Gary are really close. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, it's anybody's season this season.
Absolutely. Well, make sure to tune in next week as we will watch Rob Olenek trying to grab that title in Montreal. Congratulations with P4. Hope to see you next week.
Thanks. I'll definitely be there. Bye, guys.
That was Rob Olenek starting in P2, finishing in P4 today. Now, in the meantime, Stefan, you have found another driver to talk with.
Yeah, and I can only imagine a very, very disappointed Cameron Bidwell, who was running very well up until that last lap. Cameron, let's talk about your start of the race. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, started actually really well. Towards the end, started making up some ground and everything and just try to drive somewhat conservative. But Paul started braking a little bit sooner than me on the final lap, and it was either hit his left rear or just try to get that thing under control, and ended up losing it and hit the wall. But, it was a lot of fun, and, we just hopped into these cars about a week ago, and, man, it's a lot of fun wrestling these things around the track.
It sure is, I can tell you that. Now, Cameron, did you ever drive this car before today? Like ever?
Actually, I've probably done 3 to 5 practice sessions around road courses. And I love going sideways and stuff like that. So just trying to wrestle these things are a lot of fun. But I live in Indiana, with IMS, just around the corner tomorrow and everything. We decided to try to get a setup going and throw it around a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a small unknown race at Indianapolis tomorrow. I don't know if you heard about it. It's the Indy 500. But Cameron, you did really well, and it would have been interesting to see where you would have gone without that wreck. But hey, heads up, and maybe we're gonna see you next week at Montreal.
Yeah, Stefan, I appreciate it. And thanks again for doing what you guys do.
That was Cameron Bidwell running way up top in the top 5 and 6, and then sadly finishing a lap down because of his crash in 15th. But now, Johan Vannebelt catching up with Tommy Unhola.
Yeah, Tommy, good to talk with you. It's always a great joy to have you in the booth. Now, one thing that I actually want to talk with you about as we're running a little bit short on time is that move going into turn 3 towards the end of the race. We were 3 wide and you just sent it to the inside. What an amazing save you had.
Oh yeah, I missed my braking point and I was scared that I'm gonna wreck someone, but luckily I got enough braking and the car was a bit sideways, but under control, so it was better than I thought when I started braking, but luckily it went like that.
Absolutely. Well, now you didn't end up with a broken car, but with a great save fully on the broadcast. Now, we had a race here at Indianapolis. How happy are you with these oval races? We see you sometimes in the road races. Which one do you prefer, actually? Do you like having these oval races just mixed in with the road courses?
I guess it's fine sometimes, but I would not like to. Maybe one in season is maximum, but maybe not even that. As it's fun, but it's so different, and I'm not sure if it's my thing really. So not very. Sometimes it's good, but not all the time.
Fair enough. Well, it was at least great fun watching you go around that track with some amazing overtaking moves there, Tommy. Well, it was good seeing you around. Shame that you finished 1 lap down, but we hope to see you again very soon.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm gonna be a bit busy and trying to forget that last lap as it was not fun at all. But yeah, it happens sometimes, I guess so.
It always happens. Well, thank you for talking with us. That was Tommy Unhola finishing the race in P17. And before we close out the gates, Stefan, you're going to talk with one more driver. That's Billy Bob Wright.
It sure is. And Billy, we have to say it. You and Matt Wright, you are not brothers, but you fought it out like you were brothers, fighting for the top spot of the Wrights. And yeah, you really put on the show with him.
Okay, I wasn't sure my mic was working. So Matt and I had a really fun race, and Tommy made it exciting there at the end. It was good to be back. I haven't been here all season. Just kind of taking a break with some equipment issues, but super fun. I'm kind of with Tommy. This is not something I'd want to do all the time, but I had a blast driving this car. It is so fun to get around here, and I got both of my goals. I didn't impact the points. And I got a top 10, and so today, for me, really successful. I have to say thank you to Roman Pavlovsky for an awesome set. He saved me at the last minute because he threw a set at me, and man, it was just a dream to drive. I could go anywhere I wanted. So, fun day for me.
Well, fun day for you, fun day for us. Are you going to join us in Montreal?
I haven't decided yet. I don't think so. I've got some family issues I got to deal with. My parents are moving, so I'm probably going to be over there helping them. So probably no time for practice. But if that gets done quick, I'll jump in. I like Montreal. It's a really challenging track. I like watching people put that stripe down the Champions Corner. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Billy, thank you so much for joining us today. We sadly have to make this interview quick. So thanks for joining us. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to see you again in Montreal.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to seeing the broadcast. Heading to see it now. See you soon.
See you. See you in the replay. And sadly with that, we have to close off this very great show here today. As always, GSRC would like to thank everyone in the Grand Prix Legends community for bringing us back for another season of legendary racing action. Thanks also goes out to iRacing for allowing us to showcase you these races on the iRacing Esports Network. Once again, make sure to like and subscribe to not miss another second of exciting World Championship and Private League racing. Also, big thanks goes out to the companies which provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. As always, they're listed on your screens right now. Additional thanks goes out to June Lalonde, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at theglobalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel, or on Instagram at GSRC_RAM. The Grand Prix Legends Championship will, as already mentioned, return in 1 week's time for their final round from Montreal. That will be June the 1st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. iRacing and GSRC will be there. We hope you'll be too. All of the upcoming races for our other series are right now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down on your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on the behalf of the entire crew, I'm Chad Johan Duggy. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Tanner McCullough took away the victory at the racing capital of the world. With that said, until next time, servus and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.